Everybody. I hope that today's topic here that I'm going to bring out, I've had some requests that I bring out a little more on, some of the individual laws that those that are of the faith of the body of our King are supposed to observe. Okay, so before we start that, and because it is and I also do want to explain something that'll help you to conserve on toilet paper. It's a thing that everybody should have, especially in a time of duress. They should have food and they should have toilet paper. It's two of the key elements for some of the greatest comforts when there's no other comfort, like if the grid goes down or whatever. So anyway, I did pray before this here video, and I would like to go ahead and do as I'd like to do with every video, even though this one's a crappy one to do it with. I do feel that on this third day of Tabernacles 2018, according to the calendar of our Heavenly Father, by the sun, moon, and stars, and the green ears of barley that were found on Mount Zion that set the feast circuit in order. And even without the feast, I'll be blowing this on each sermon, I hope, or not sermon, but each Bible study, little heart-to-heart, whatever, little expounding on the laws, that sort of thing. But this here will, of course, with Holy Spirit that I pray that is impregnated in every video that I do. I also ask that by the blast of this horn, and you should get one yourself if you start keeping the laws and commandments, or if you already do, you're authorized to pick up a horn and blast it anytime you want. Don't make a spectacle out of yourself. Do it at your house. It's a great thing. Everybody that is growing pure or is pure in heart, they love the sound of the shofar by the lips of a righteous individual, whether man, woman, or child. So here we go. Demons, get ready to flee. Get thee hence, critters. Could you feel that vibration even in your toenails? I mean, wasn't that something? I mean, every cell in your DNA is reacted to that. And if you're eating honey and butter, it works even better. I don't know what's wrong with this video. It seems like I'm awful dark in it. I don't know if the contrast is going or something. Brand new camera, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, what I did want to bring out is the way that, I brought out how you can conserve money and time, and a whole lot of time from being off work due to illnesses, the expense for doctors and all these sorts of things. And I'm not saying don't go to a doctor. What I am saying is that if you ate fermented foods and you watched your diet and cut the poisons out and such, then you would be spending a whole lot less. You'd have a whole lot less need to go to these places or the drugs or anything else they prescribe. The part that I really never touched on, and I still don't want to touch on it, is the toilet paper. It's the opposite end of the eating of great foods for the benefit of your immune system and such. And I guess the final paperwork we'll discuss here momentarily, but right now, if you're living in a city, and I know this is going to sound pretty bad, most cities, unless there's abundant water nearby, like those here in Oneida and such, they don't so much, I don't know, they may not, but I know in Texas and these other areas that are pretty dry, they recycle the water. And basically all they do is they get the clumps, of the stuff here out, the peas and the corn, they filter out, and they throw a little chlorine in there and fluoride and other poisons to kill off the things from the waste, and everyone ends up drinking their own urine again. But that was prophesied, okay? This is what you need to know when the grid goes down. You can't flush the toilets anymore. You can't draw water out the tap or whatever. And if you're out and you're got your bug out bag and you're living in a camp, okay? Now this here was laws pertaining, and it more or less specifically stated for war, okay, when they're out there fighting and such. But it also is the standards they used within Jerusalem and the other cities in Israel to get rid of their waste. They had certain places outside the city, where, the dung gate, is a big clue as to what it was used for. But people had to carry out their own waste. Now, when they're out there in the field and they're in a wartime type situation, things are a little bit different. And we're going to cover, there's a couple laws within here that, men and women and children really need to know. And I guess we'll start with Deuteronomy 23, verse 8. It says, "The children of the third generation born to them may enter the assembly of the father." Okay, talk about Edomites and such. 23, verse 9 of Deuteronomy. "When the army goes out against your enemies, then keep yourself from every wicked thing." Deuteronomy 23:10. "If there is any man among you who becomes unclean by some occurrence in the night, then he shall go outside the camp. He shall not come inside the camp. But it shall be, when evening comes, that he shall wash with water. And when the sun sets, he may come into the camp." Now, see, right there shows you when evening is, okay? Evening comes, and then the sun sets. And at that time is when somebody becomes clean after they have been unclean and got washed. Okay, so it shows the sun setting. It also is how the days, were set, was from the sun sets. When it sets on one day and it sets on the next, the time in between is the days of the month that we number off, and this is the third day of Tabernacles, 2018, and I love it. Another thing I wanted to point out was in 23:10, and I know this is something that may be harsh on some people's ears to hear, and it's not easy for me to speak, but it's part of the law, and somebody's got to say it, so why not me? "If there is any man among you who becomes unclean by some occurrence in the night." Now, to understand this fully, you would have to necessarily understand the laws between a man and a wife, okay? And when a man and a woman have relations and there's a release of semen, they become unclean. It's not a sin. It's just that you've got those little squigglies, and they drip and they leak and they get all over stuff, okay? And it's actually part of a human body, so when it's exposed in such a way, it starts to decay and such. So it's to be cleansed of before the sun sets, okay? So if a man and a wife are in bed at night and they do their stuff, they should always clean off, I mean, the bed's going to be unclean, the things on it. And, you should have a bottle with little bit of lye water you can make with wood ash and water, and make sure it's filtered out well, and just spray the bed down, okay? And what that does is it kills off foreign bacteria and stuff, and not the healthy stuff so much. It kills off that which makes it unclean. It tells you to wash with water, so if you just spray down the mattress afterwards, you wash your bed articles and stuff, you become clean at sunset. But here out in the battlefield sometimes, guys are away from their brides and such, and they get thoughts going on or whatever, and by some occurrence in the night, they do become unclean. They were supposed to go outside the camp, wait, and then, go ahead and wash, and then at sunset they would be clean and come back into the camp. that's enough on that one. But fellas, the thing is, unless you're married, you shouldn't be thinking of anything. If you're going to make yourself unclean, don't be thinking of a neighbor's wife or, anybody. Don't be thinking anyone, okay? Otherwise, you'll be committing adultery, fornication, that sort of thing. Deuteronomy 23:12. Also you shall have a place outside the camp where you may go out. Go out for what? And you shall have an implement among your equipment. And when you sit down outside, okay, so what it's speaking of here is, what a lot of people use this for. They're supposed to go out, they're supposed to dig a hole, okay, when they're out there anywhere, okay. You shouldn't just be like in the days of old, in the days of old where the knights were bold and the people were contented. They dropped their load on the side of the road and they walked away contented. Okay, well, you don't do that. If you're of the body of our Messiah, the thing you need to do is, dig a hole and bury it, okay, when you're done. Now, we'll read it again. Deuteronomy 23:13. No, this is not easy for me to be telling you people, okay, but somebody has to tell you. And you shall have an implement among your equipment, and when you sit down outside, you shall dig with it, and turn and cover your refuse. And why do you do this? It says, for Yahweh, your Father. And now it's our King, and our King don't want to be walking around in, baby diapers or whatever that you might just have laying around on the floor, or know of other people that do. These things shouldn't be. All this human waste needs to be taken care of properly. For your Father, and now Yahshua walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give your enemies over to you. Therefore your camp shall be holy, that he may see no unclean thing among you, and turn away from you. Okay, so you want to practice being clean the best you can. There's going to be some really tight situations, where there's going to be a lot of people condensed in certain areas. I suggest maybe digging out houses or whatever. But once again, it's very smart if somebody was to go ahead and start buying toilet paper, extra toilet paper every month. Okay, if you can afford it, just a few extra rolls. And the thing that I'm going to suggest to help cut down on the use of the toilet paper you have, because it's going to be very valuable, okay? If you have food, and your food has to come out some way. And I know some people only go once a week and think that 3 rolls will last them the whole tribulation, but that's tribulation on your system. You should at least be going 2 or 3 times every day. And the ideal stool, I know I'm already in this, so might as well finish up with this crap. It should be more of a consistency of like a soft ice cream. Okay, that's the consistency that a stool should be. If you're not using the bathroom, 2-3 times a day, you should consider highly, a colon cleanse and get more fiber in your diet. But I highly recommend a colon cleanse. But anyway, the way to conserve on toilet paper, the way I normally use it, and I'm an open book in most matters. This one I'll be open. I won't explain exactly how I use this, but I go like 1, 2, 3. I pop off that sheet, and I end up with, with this, which I think is, what I normally would use, especially for the first wipe. Now, what I'm saying to do is take 3 additional sheets, okay? That's what this is, 3 additional sheets, and I just fold them, okay? And you could take that where the lip is here and put it down on it. And then you do your business, and then what you do is you just drop off that first one down in the toilet, and you can go with this, get away with a great wipe with 3 sheets. unless you really got the Hershey's going on or something. And then you might want 4 or 5, but then you'd be much better on conserving toilet paper, instead of this one here, for one wipe, when you can have just that and way less than the other amount, and drop the first one off, then use the clean next one, and you can repeat the process. And believe it or not, that will help to conserve the use of the toilet paper. It's just something, that I thought that you might want to know, since you needed to know the laws about digging a hole if you're on the outside there. Outhouses, you need to have lime or wood ash to be able to put over the excrement, as you go. Otherwise, it'll just build up and it'll cause a problem for disease. But when you cover these things properly, even the land that you're on, okay, there's organisms that live in the soil, and they're as fast as a frequency. They're just as fast as lightning, some of these kingdoms that are in the ground. And when someone lives on a certain property and they relieve themselves in the ground, well, these organisms know what you're lacking and such in your human holy temple here, okay? And it sends out message when your excrement is decaying in the ground. It sends out throughout the property. Okay, and if you have like a garden and you're missing certain nutrients or whatever in your stool that you've buried in the ground, well, these kingdoms will pick up on it and they'll go off to, whatever rock or element there is in the ground. They'll open it up so that a plant can use it to bring forth that vitamin or mineral or trace element or whatever it is that you're lacking. And that's another reason why our excrement should be covered, because it by doing so, and I'm not saying to do like some of these farmers that are taking sludge trucks and going out there and just spewing it out there in the ground and then growing your produce and wondering why there's E. coli or anything else taking place like it does. It's not being buried. Even if they do that and then they furrow it in, they were not supposed to do it on the top of the ground. It says to dig a hole and then cover it. Okay, now this will help the kingdoms of the earth to bring forth better vegetation all the way around if these things were done. But instead, like in cities and such, like I say, it's going to be really tough. Water's going to be cut off. The electric will be cut off. You won't be able to flush a toilet. Too much cement really to dig a hole, so there's going to be some real problems. In fact, did you know that stilts were invented? Them things people get up on top and they walk around and do goofy things, and fall over, break their necks, put their eyes out. You know why they were invented? Well, they were invented in Germany because in those days when stilts were invented, when somebody relieved themselves in their little pot or bowl or basin, all they did was open up the window and fling it out, and it ended up in the streets. So when people were walking, they were walking around in all this poop, and then it would start raining, and boy, it would get pretty deep, and that's where stilts were invented. So I'm a treasure trove of these little tidbits, I guess you can say. But I hope that you enjoyed this law, these laws, explained a little bit to you. If you have any question, please let me know. And once again, I hope you all are having a terrific third day of the feast. And this is not just a feast, video. You can watch this video at any time you so desire. Please do. Okay, and pass it on anytime that you feel discomforted, as if there's something looming around you. Don't forget, just put on one of my videos with the horn blasting there, and chase the little critters away until you can, get to where you got the confidence enough that you can do it, for yourself because you trust in our King. And our King said that, you know, if you keep the laws and commandments, they'll flee. You know, the horn just helps out a little bit, especially for those that are not with their complete mind made up as to whether they're going to or not. You know, I encourage you to do so. And I do pray for each and every one of you. I love you all. I'll be praying for you day and night and day, till either our King returns or I stop breathing, whichever takes place first. And I'm really hoping that I get to see our King return. With that, I've got another topic I do want to bring out, talking about the calling being irrevocable. Okay, so with that, I say shalom to y'all. Till next time, may our King bless you all in your studies. Prove all things, hold fast that which is true and that which is righteous, that our King may be honored and glorified in every righteous thing you put your hands to do. Shalom.